So is the Central Coast of New South Wales the next investment hotspot in 2025?
So today we're looking at population, demographics, property performance, affordability, and what it means for investors and people buying on the Central Coast. That's just a prime example of if you just go and buy anywhere on the Central Coast, over the same period of time, you can make 3 times the amount of money by buying it within the right suburb.
You can't just say the Central Coast is good. You're going to have really good areas, really bad areas.
Yeah.
But the simple fact of that is it's actually a really nice geographical area.
Oh, for sure.
They've got some really, really nice spots on the Central Coast. So I am a coastie. I was actually born at Gosford Hospital, so I should get the pronunciation of most of these suburbs correct.
We'll butcher some.
Yeah, I'm an import into the Newcastle area from the Central Coast. So I have grown up on the Central Coast. So yeah, I do know the area
a little bit
quite
about
well.
it.
Yeah. So population growth is, current population, 360,000 in 2025. It's expected to go up to 412 by, 2046.
Yep. So
That's an
increase of, call it 15% over 21 years.
Yep. It's not huge.
It's not huge, but it's in line with state average.
Yep. Age, so what's
age
that?
Structure for the Central Coast. This is just important for, obviously, the people who are buying the properties are the people who can afford them.
Yes.
So, in terms of age structure, under working age is forecast to increase by 2.8%. Working age population will be up by 4.2%. Retirement age population will be up by 17.7%.
Yeah.
Which is big across the board. Like that whole retirement demographic, we have an aging population, and they're big contributors to the people who are buying property.
Yeah.
So, it's important to take that in consideration. I know a lot of people can't buy investments to cater to retirees because they're the ones buying them. But if you do buy a property with resale buyer in mind, just keep that in mind, because if you're buying a property, doing a renovation and selling to this, we've got a 14% increase in population, but we've got a 17% increase in that age demographic. So,
which isn't always a bad thing anyway, because you got to have the downsizers in a certain market.
You do.
You really do to drive all price brackets within a market.
Yeah.
The largest single group is actually parents and home builders between 35 and 49.
Yeah.
Which
18%.
Which is quite a good amount as well. But the fastest growing is seniors.
Yeah, 70 to 84.
But the simple fact of that is it's actually a really nice geographical area.
Oh, for sure.
They've got some really, really nice spots on the Central Coast. You look at, that whole Umina area, Patonga, all those areas are beautiful.
And think about that from a lifestyle perspective and property type. If you're looking at, say, Point Clare, I believe it is, right next to Gosford.
Yep.
You've got a lot of older units, but they're right on the waterfront with jetties out the front. You can
nice
still
train line that comes past.
Nice train line that comes past. But there's 3-bedroom apartments, 150 square meters on the water with the jetty for $1 million.
And the other thing to really note as well is, the train ride from Gosford to the CBD is about half an hour, 40 minutes or something like that.
That's the thing. Proximity to Sydney is a big thing for, we just mentioned there that part of the biggest age demographic is 35 to 49-year-olds. They're obviously a big part of the labour force. So you've either got the local workers or a lot of people still commuting to Sydney. So, that transport accessibility is a big factor as well for these buyer cohorts and the locations that they're choosing to purchase in.
Yeah. Affordability compared to distance from the CBD is quite good.
Yeah.
So the top 5 suburbs by forecasted population increases is Warnervale, Bushells Ridge. So Warnervale, put it in perspective, there's a lot of housing estates going in that area. Yeah. So that sort of from Wyong extending all the way out.
Warnervale is, for people who aren't familiar with it, it is over close to the freeway.
It is.
On the northern side of the Central Coast. So, in terms of relating that back to age structure as well, if you've got people buying around that Bateau Bay, Long Jetty area, they're likely not going to be commuting to Sydney. Yep. They're likely going to be working locally, but you're potentially going to get more people in these new housing estates around that Warnervale area.
100%. There's a
who are
train
in affordable markets. It's a train line to Sydney. You're straight on the freeway to Sydney. So,
Wadalba, that's next door. So that's
Yep.
very, very close. Again, that's at 93. So, I'll put it in perspective. So this is population increase from 2025 to 2046.
Yep.
So that Warnervale area is going to go up by 861. That's the predicted amount.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
So that just has it. We've got the Central Coast overall at 15%. Over the same period, this region is going to grow by, in population, 861.
And again, that relates back to those housing estates that are just keep growing and growing and growing.
And before we go on with the other top four, in terms of population, we have to relate this back to supply and demand
Correct.
as well. We've got 861% increase in population. We're going to have very similar increase, not similar, we're going to have a big increase of supply of property.
Correct.
So it's trying to marry all of these considerations up with what's the population, what's the age demographic, and what property type are they going to want to buy.
And we know that New South Wales, I'm just isolating New South Wales, but we're not keeping up with the housing demand as it is. So we do know that this is going to increase prices, but not going to increase prices by 861%.
One of the biggest regions within that
that.
Warnervale Bushel Ridge area is Charmhaven, which I believe Third Eye is developing.
Yes.
They're forecasting to put in an extra 4,000 dwellings within that area, but there's going to be an increase in population of Charmhaven of around 16,000 people. So, like you said, although there's land there, they are still land capped because a lot of land just can't be developed.
There's no infrastructure to be able to just create, 20,000 homes in one go.
Exactly.
It's just not going to happen. So, as I said, Wadalba is very close. That's at 93%. Tuggerah Mardi, that's a bit further towards Sydney.
Yeah.
That is at 85%. Gosford West, Gosford, again, even further in towards Sydney as well. That's at 83%. And Hamlin Terrace, back towards Wadalba.
Yeah.
That's at 27%.
So just think about like Gosford, for example. Again, you think about these age demographics and structures for those particular areas. Warnervale, Wadabra, Tuggerah and Hamlin Terrace, you're probably going to be looking at commuters, the age profile of 35 to 49 years of age, and they want a family 4-bedroom house.
Yep. Which you can get around $1 million.
Exactly.
Good luck getting that in Sydney.
Yeah.
For $1 million, you're going to get an apartment somewhere.
And then Gosford, you're likely looking at a mix of uni students, healthcare workers, affordable housing. So although there is a big population increase, we'll likely see Gosford, I would suspect, a higher proportion of renters compared to homeowners.
So if we now look at some of the markets that are performing pretty crappy and really well.
Yeah, this is over the last decade.
Last 10 years. So Chittaway Point is the lowest at 53% growth.
Yep.
Point Frederick at 64 and East Gosford at 66.
Yeah.
So not great.
Not bad, but not great. That's just average growth.
When we look at some of the suburbs we've talked about in other podcasts, that are sitting around 150.
Which is some of the suburbs listed here
next
as well.
So I don't know where this is. Pretty Beach.
Yep.
Sounds nice.
I would say it's over near Kilcare or something like that.
Yeah. So it's 151%. So again, that's when you're starting to talk big numbers. It's 3 times the amount, essentially.
Exactly.
Long Jetty, that's near the entrance. That's 150. And St. Hubbard's Island. Again,
St. Hubert's Island, I think it is.
I don't know where that is. But throw in the comments. Let me know where that is.
Again, I think it's over near that Kilcare pocket.
Yeah, so that's 146. So big growth.
And the reason I put that in there is, a lot of people would look at the Central Coast and go, oh, it's grown by 90% or something over the past decade. That's just a prime example of if you just go and buy anywhere on the Central Coast, over the same period of time, you can make 3 times the amount of money by buying it within the right suburb. That's how important it is.
So you've got affordability. So you do have markets with under $800,000 purchase prices still. Gorican, San Remo, Chain Valley Bay, Blue Haven. So Blue Haven's it's more of an older housing estate in there. San Remo, 20 years ago, your car would have got set on fire driving through the suburb.
There is a vast difference with socioeconomic profiles on the Central Coast. Tuggerah, all of those sort of areas, you're looking at the higher socioeconomic class, and then all of these cheaper markets, more affordable markets, it is a lower socioeconomic area, But
that's-
doesn't mean that you can't make money in those markets as well.
And these areas, these lower socioeconomic areas, they eventually do push through. If you look at Newcastle as an example, you look at Tyres Hill or Islington.
Yeah.
20 years ago, again, you wouldn't buy there
Yeah.
because your house would get set on fire,
Exactly.
you know, or your car stolen every night.
Yeah. And think
now
about
it's full of cafes and
Exactly.
I'm not saying that San Remo is going to be full of cafes.
But the same, San Remo, Gorican, Chain Valley Bay, Blue Haven, to enter that market sub 800,000, probably sub 900,000 for a better property. We talked about the last podcast that we did, the new first home buyer grants. The Central Coast is going to be influenced a big amount by these first home buyers.
Yep.
And they're going to be in the more affordable price points.
100%.
So I would say there's going to be a lot of buyers for these markets just because they're affordable.
And then on the flip side of that, you've got, expensive properties over 2 mil, which is north of Oka, McMaster's Beach, Kilcare, Pearl Beach, St Hubert's Island, and Wagstaff.
Yep.
You're going to have some expensive areas in there.
Yeah.
They're right on the beach. It's a beautiful area.
Again, people confuse more expensive markets with growth. There's a price limit for everything.
Yep.
We saw a $15 million sale on the Central Coast recently. That's obviously someone who's had a liquidity event and they're not really affected by interest rates or income. All of these more expensive markets, you're going to have some premium that, someone on the Central Coast got a shitload of money and they just want a particular property on the water and they'll pay whatever they can for it.
Yeah.
But just because it's an expensive suburb doesn't mean that it's going to be the best performer for growth. So for investors or even people just looking to buy, still consider, other markets as well.
So look at some of the socioeconomic profiles. So 49% of families in the area have two people in them, 21% have 3, and 19% have 4.
So again, that's just really important for each of these markets, whether it's Bateau Bay, if you're looking to buy a 3-bedroom house. If you're looking to buy a 3-bedroom house in Bateau Bay and a big proportion of that population are looking for 4-bedroom houses, you're going to have inferior growth to the 4-bedroom market.
Yep.
So just try and identify those family structures within the particular market that you're buying in, so you're buying the right property type.
Yep. So 45% of people have completed Year 12 or more, so this is on education. Gosford has the highest level of completion. Surprise, surprise, San Remo has the lowest. Mate, I grew up in Morisset, so I think that'd be second to that. Qualifications around 70,000 have a certificate level. 35 have a bachelor's degree, and 27,000 hold diplomas or advanced diplomas. 56% of people are employed, 41% are not in the labour force, and 2.8 are unemployed.
Yeah. I mean, highest labour force participation rate is Carryong, which is up near Gosford, of 70%. Lowest is Erina at 36%. So
Carryong's right next to the freeway.
Exactly. That's another one of those markets where you can enter for $1 million, 1.2 million, family homes close to Gosford, but also good for commuters right near the freeway.
So as far as rental yields go, the average is around 3 to 5%, so pretty average.
Yeah. I mean, it depends if you're buying a unit, an older property, a more expensive market, or in those sort of newer housing estates around that sort of Tuggerah, Hamlin Terrace area. But around the 3 to 5% is typically what you're looking at.
So each suburb within the Central Coast is going to have its own pockets of growth, and you can't just say the Central Coast is good. You're going to have really good areas, really bad areas. Yeah. So it's important that you look at the supply and demand in each of those areas.
Exactly.
As far as lifestyle and migration goes, it is as I said, it's only half an hour away from Sydney. So we do see a lot of people moving out of Sydney to get that lifestyle shift, that sea change, if you want to call it that. So I think that will continue.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's a much more affordable market for the people who can commute to Sydney or do hybrid work. Again, for the retirees or able downsizers,
and families.
There are a lot of people that it doesn't make sense for them to live in Sydney anymore, so they move north. Not necessarily always the Central Coast, but if their family is still in Sydney, it is a big an attraction to them to move away from the Sydney lifestyle to a more affordable market, but still be, an hour's distance to their family who's potentially still in Sydney.
You know, and some of the things that are driving, I guess, the growth in there as well is just how much easier it is to get into the CBD via car from the Central Coast these days. You know, you've got the North Connects now that you come straight off the M1 through the North Connects onto the M2 straight into the city. You know,
Exactly.
North Lane Cove Tunnel.
Yeah.
That's cut a substantial amount of time off.
Yeah.
Yes, it's expensive as hell.
Oh, of course.
But, you know, it's more expensive
And
to
you're
live
not
in
taking
Sydney.
the Eastern Distributor to get to the airport.
Yeah.
So
In summary, could Central Coast be a good ongoing opportunity? I say yes.
absolutely, yeah.
But you need to be careful of which areas you're looking at.
Yeah.
Don't just blanket it in one go and go, all right, the biggest population growth is actually Warnervale, but you invest in Warnervale. That's actually going to have the most amount of building approvals as well, in my opinion.
And that just compare them, you know, if you're buying within that area, what is the, you know, we've just highlighted population, what are going to be the dwelling increases in that area? I know for Wildaba, I think it is, or around that Hamlin Terrace area, there is a lot of new developments popping up, 4-bedroom houses, but they're actually on 300 square metres of land. So the existing dwellings that are 4-bedroom houses on 600 square metres of land, there's already that element of scarcity because they're more appealing because people want the land. So, you know, although there might be building increases, just buy the right property type.
Yeah, 100%. Well, that's it for today. If you've got any areas that you want us to talk about, doesn't have to be New South Wales. Reach out, throw a comment in the on the comments, and let us know what you want us to talk about.
See you in the next one.
Thank you.